All right, gang, let's practice some Qigong at the end here when we have a few more people on. I will discuss the fact that our class is taking a hiatus. Well, one of our classes, which is this particular class. And the whys and wherefores, although you know some of the details. Let's practice together. All right, so our subject for this month is called grounding. So today we're going to practice with a highlight of grounding. Going to be the subject at hand today. Rubbing hands together gently. Inhale, exhale, then just take that like water. Throw it down toward the ground. Flick your fingers. Watch out for the bush. It's usually the one that Carrie runs into. Pull the energy off your arm and kind of toss that. Flick your fingers. Energy off this one, toss. Air, toss, throw it down, throw it down, throw it down. Keep tossing that downward. Down toward the floor. I'm taking my fingers and I'm flicking them as I'm throwing that down. Down, down, down. And then here, go into twisting movement here. Yep, feel free to move the bush. Letting the hands kind of tap your body and get a little down in practice, a little tapping practice in. Inhale, exhale your breath. Let this come to an unwind. Sit your weight down a little bit. Open up your armpits a little bit. Try and hold your posture for a moment. Steady yourself. Try and bring your attention to the frontal lobe of your brain. Third eye area. Move your attention downward toward the lower dantian. Now take the mind and imagine the mind moving down through the legs into the knees, into the shins, calves, down in through the feet, down into the earth. Rooting yourself down into the ground. Make yourself very still inside. Holding the physical body somewhat still, but not too tight. Try and find the perfect balance between holding yourself up and allowing the energy to hold you up. Try and stay with this a little bit longer. As I sometimes say, practicing patience, waiting for your breath to change. As your breath begins to change, you know that you've influenced your kidney chi. And I'm not talking about you changing your breath, but the breath sort of changing you. Inhale, exhale. Slowly relax your legs, reach up above your head, like a waterfall here. Imagine the energy, breathe it in, exhale, coming down. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, coming down. So with this one, it's not just the movement here. On your next round, make your hands slower. Leave your breath alone for a moment. Just make the hands moving more slowly. And with the motion of the hands, bringing down the heart rate, bringing down the temperature, bringing down the emotional state, whatever the emotional state is. The more stressed you are, the more you want to bring that down. Slowly imagining, as I've said sometimes, like if you were standing in a pool, and if you were to imagine the color, you can choose any color you want, but let's just say it was red, represents your blood. And in the pool, you start bringing it down the drain. You start emptying the pool, and it starts going down the drain, which it's not really going down the drain to nowhere. It's putting the red color back into the root chakra. So don't think of it in terms of like getting rid of your blood, but just bringing your blood down, bringing the pressure of it down. And so every once in a while, if the breath wants to breathe, you can let the breath breathe, but you're just slowly bringing your hands down. And then from this position, stay in a little bit of a horse stance. Let the wrists elevate here. They're hanging from the ceiling. And then turn your fingers and plug them in. Hold this position. Be very still as best you can for a moment. Imagine you're plugging your fingers in together. Elbows are hanging heavy. Again, if this one bothers you, practice it down here, like if it bothers your shoulders or something. If you feel a little bit more ready for a little bit more of a challenge, go ahead and hold your arms up a little bit higher. You can even touch your middle fingers together here. And then arms coming up high. I'm just moving back to try and get my hands there in the camera, but bring your feet in closer, bring them like almost touching or touching. Holding the arms straight up, making yourself a little bit like a rocket, so to speak. Stay connected to the floor with your feet. Make sure you feel solid in your feet. If for any reason you don't feel connected to the ground and you don't feel established in your feet and you start to get spacey in any way or whatever, let your arms come down. You're not ready for it. You're not ready for this. But otherwise, you're holding your arms up for a minute here. And step out just a little bit and let the arms drop. Screw your feet into the floor, kind of dig them in a little bit. Hold yourself steady. Tuck your tailbone in a little bit. Let the arms elevate here, palms parallel to the thighs, and then bringing the arms open as if you're holding like a little tennis ball here in your armpit. Inhale, exhale. Like bird's wings, inhale. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale. Listen to the breath. Tighten your abdomen a little bit and place hands on hips, horse stance, knees are bent a little bit sort of heavy, as opposed to the same stance that we do sometimes where we're maybe a little bit more upright with our legs. This is meant to be heavy in your legs. You want to bend your knees and kind of sit your butt down a little bit. And from here, it's almost like you're falling, but then your legs kind of keep you up. And then hands here helping to support this position and just chilling here. Sitting down your mind and becoming grounded, a lot of people will talk about getting heavy. It's true, but it's not just about like using your muscles and stuff to become heavy. That actually doesn't make you as heavy as dropping your mind. So it takes time to learn to drop your mind. And as I've explained it as best I possibly can anyway, in your physical musculature, you need to find the balance between holding tight enough to hold the position, but relaxed enough to let the chi flow. And that takes time. It takes time and it takes practice. And initially, most people, when they hold any posture, whether it's this posture or the hugging the tree posture that we just did, where the arms look like they're hugging the tree. This one's sometimes called standing like a post. Anyway, holding these postures, Well, immediately what most people do is they'll bring their stress to whatever the posture is, and they start trying to hold the posture up via stress. And then it starts making you feel very weird and very emotional. And that's good on the level that it is, because it helps clear the emotion. But then the idea is, how can I settle into the posture and be okay with it and relax and let some of that weirdness and that emotion go while maintaining the posture? If you're new to it, well, then as soon as you start to feel too much of that, you immediately, or within a minute or so, you have to let go of the posture. It becomes too much. So then just make your legs a little bit taller here, hands on hips, and then shift your weight so that you start to elongate to one side, just elongating one leg. Arm can be resting on the thigh, breathing. And even though this is a little bit of a stretch, the emphasis right now actually is on shifting body weight and identifying where is your center. This is about as far as I can go in this other direction without losing my center. I mean, I could reposition my body and stretch more deeply, do some different stretches, but the main idea here is I'm shifting my belly button to this side. Now I'm coming back over here. I'm going to shift my belly button to this side, and I'm just chilling out over here. And then same shift my weight here. Come back to center, bring your feet together, slide one foot back behind you so that you're kind of on your surfboard here. From here, the bottom, the roots need to stay strong and rooted into the ground. So shift your weight forward, shift your weight back, shift back to the middle, and then bring your head down toward the back knee, bring it around toward the front knee, come up, leaning a little bit backwards, be careful, it's the most dangerous direction, and then wrap all the way back around. So you're going up and you're coming around, little drunken kung fu practice. And then go back the other way. Here's a little bit of like limbo. And it's not just making the movement, it's bringing your mind and keeping your mind in the navel center. Staying grounded and rooted, upper body, very relaxed, flexible, limber, yielding. This one's called Bamboo Blows in the Wind. You're like a bamboo plant, it's the idea anyway. Leaves blowing in the wind. And then bringing the foot in, sliding the other foot back, like you're on your surfboard. From this position, I go down toward my back knee. I'm going to move toward the front knee. I'm going toward my back side, and I'll roll all the way around. Then I'll go back the opposite direction. I'll go all the way around. And depending on how flexible you are and so on, moving yourself down toward the ground or the knees, whatever's comfortable, but staying taut in the core and in the lower dantian. And coming around. Couple more times. And when you're ready, come to center, feet about shoulder width apart. Hold your foundation for a moment. Hold your roots, hold yourself steady. Follow your breath. Inhale, breath through nose. Exhale, breath through nose or mouth. Hands coming up slow. So locking that down one time. Just the right hand goes. Just the left hand goes. Bring the hands holding lower dantian, holding lower belly. Be very still for a moment. Little fingers touching each other. Holding steady just below the navel center. Bringing mind to the third eye, bringing mind down to the lower dantian where your hands are. Extending mind, yi, down in through the legs, down through the feet, into the ground. When you're ready to inhale, you're going to inhale and pull the energy back toward your kidneys. Hold your breath there for a second as you hold the energy in your kidneys and exhale as you go down the backs of the legs. Around the outside. Inhale as you come up. Exhale as you go down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale around the outside. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale as you go down, as you come around the inside. So I said that backwards. As I was practicing, I said it backwards. I did the opposite of what I was telling you. So inhale here. Exhale here. All the way around the outside. Inhale as you're coming up the inside. Clarify with my words. Exhale. Inhale as you pull the energy here. Exhale as you go down the backs of the legs. Around the outside, come up the inside. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. In. Exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Push a little more on the exhale if you desire. Clear the gut. So you come up. Exhale. Right from where you are. Shift one side, shift the other side. Slow. Shift, shift. 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 Slow. Let's check your balance. One side. Other side. Center. Shift your weight. Bring your one foot close to your other foot. One foot is planted, somewhat solid. One weighted, in other words. This other foot pulling up on its toes, just hovering there. You can use your arms in whatever capacity you desire, if you want to, or you can just focus on the leg, but you're going to start to lift and you're holding balance. So first, some people have trouble with balance. You're holding here. You need to, you touch your toe. If you have better balance, you can start to lift the leg. Hands can be used to hold position. Set one leg down, go to one weighted on that leg. First, foot just holds. If that's the most you can do and you have to keep changing, that's fine. You could start to lift your knee a little higher, see how that goes for you. You're holding it there. If you're a little better at your balance, you can hold your leg a little higher, use your hands, and go higher. And then set that down. Inhale, exhale. And the feet close together, reach down toward the shins, the knees, or the floor. Inhale, exhale. Slowly coming up, pounding the feet a little bit on the floor, grounding that energy out. Close to your legs out wider, place your left hand on your hip. This index finger is going to point. I'm going to reach. This becomes like a frame. It's not going to move for the most part. I'm going to lean into this. Very good for the low back, stretching the quadratus lumborum. Lats, breathing. So if you start off with if you see my arm like this and my head is like away from my arm, it's a good starting position sometime. And then as you become more flexible and you're working with it, bring your arm all the way to your head, to where your head comes to your inner elbow. And when you come down, bring your elbow first. Your body will appreciate that. Especially the tighter you are, the more your body will appreciate that. Bring your other hand to your hip, reaching up, pointing, and leaning. Head, see head, toward arm. If you can, make that contact. And then you start leaning into it. And depending on how you change directions, there's ways in which you can lean over further, but maybe it's not stretching the musculature that you're looking to stretch. So you're attempting to find the quadratus lumborum back here, lower lat, and then off to the side, closer to the spine, and getting into that and then elongating it. Right there, I just got a nice adjustment in my lumbar spine. Elbow comes down. One more time, other side. Elbow down. Other side. And back to the middle. Reach down, stretch. Reach off to one side, 1 foot, stretch. Other foot, stretch. If you desire, put your feet out a little wider, reach and stretch. Reach and stretch. If you desire, feet out a little wider. Whatever's comfortable for you. Breathing. Whatever's easiest for you to come back up a little bit. I'm going to show you the easier version first for some of you. So from this position, if I'm in a little bit of a horse stance, I put the majority of my weight to one side. I'm going to rotate my foot so that it comes up like so. Put the foot back. I'm going to lean my weight to one side. I'm going to raise my foot to the other side. So those of you who don't have a lot of flexibility, but you still want to stretch a little and you still want to work this a little bit, you're going to shift your weight so that you're more one-weighted. That allows you to rotate your foot up. The further away your horse stance is, the further apart it is, the harder this is going to be. So if you're less flexible, stay close, shift your weight, rotate the foot. From this position, let's just say I don't have a lot of flexibility. I have to be careful with my balance too. And I'm reaching and I'm stretching. Okay? If I go to the other side, so if you have less flexibility and less balance, you're going to do it like this. Most of my weight is here. My foot is turned up. If that's hard enough and you're working with your balance already, then just work with your balance. Later, if you're working with flexibility, great. If you can actually reach and grab your foot and go on your heel more and bring your head toward your knee, now you're going to have an even greater stretch from that particular position. Be careful with that one. I'm going to lose my gum. Give me just a moment. If you have a little more flexibility, seeing again, it's a class on grounding a little bit, and you get grounded a little bit. So from this position here, we had a shift where you're elongating one leg. We had a shift where you elongate the other leg. From this position, and be careful, you don't need to do this if it doesn't work for you, okay? So, but from this position, this foot that's pointed off this way, notice if I come back how it's already up. So if I'm like this, I come back and it's already up. But notice my legs are further apart now. So this is for somebody who's a little more flexible. So here, and it's already up. Now let's say I want to go to the other side. I'm going to turn this foot in. I come back to horse stance. I'm going to turn my other foot to go in the direction that I want to move in. Elongate the other leg. And then from this position, notice if I lean back, I can come up on my heel. So if I show you somewhat quickly, I'm here, turn the foot in, turn the foot out, turn the foot back to horse stance, turn the foot that I want to open. I can either go forward to elongate my stance here, or I can move back where I'm starting to push off the heel. Come back to horse stance, walk my foot out, lean my weight back, can go forward, can also come back. So I'm going to do it one time this way for you at home. You guys can just keep doing your thing if you understand it. So I'm here. I'm going to pivot my foot. I can now go in that direction. If I lean back to this leg and keep the foot there, I can go to this type of position. I can stretch here. Again, this is like sort of like, say, medium flexibility. I rotate this foot, and if I have balance, I can reach and stretch. I can shift my weight. Okay, this is the basic play. And if we walk our feet out a little bit, and for maybe the few of you that have a little more flexibility, or in this position, like a horse stance, from here, again, the further I walk out my feet, the wider this stretch and so on is going to be. I'm going to rotate my foot, and I actually will drop down, and I can use my hands to begin with. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shift to the other side, and I hold. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Push off and go here. If you are working with this part of it and you're a little less flexible in certain areas, you can also cheat on this one a little bit, although it takes away the stretch on the hip. But you lift this heel over here. You can see that on the computer, and you're here. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I shift my weight to the other side. Same thing here. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Move out slowly, carefully. A little clicking of the heels. And then like rapid fire with the legs a little bit. Be careful, like shake them, vibrate them, and then stop, step out. Let that rush calm. Hold yourself steady. Let your breath go. Inhale, exhale the breath. Inhale here. Exhale. Walk everything down. So martial arts, somewhat in general, this is true for the Chinese martial arts system of Kung Fu. It's also true for some other martial arts. A lot of the movements that masters picked up on and they started teaching and incorporated in martial art came from what? The movement of animals. So certain animals moving a particular way, they watch them and mimic their movements. Forget about the martial aspect or the fighting aspect, but think for a moment about the groundedness of certain positions. So in Kung Fu, karate, other martial arts like that, you see variations of stances like this. There's certain variations. I want to give you the basic gist of it so that you can practice the grounding aspect. So if we slide the 1 foot back, we go about 45 degrees back, and we're on the surfboard, this back heel, it's been a while since we've covered this. I'm bouncy like this. My heel is literally off the floor. So that allows me to actually spring forward this way, which we're not going to do, but it does allow me to do that. So I'm bouncy. The heel is not on the floor yet. So I have a little bit of groundedness in the front foot, but the back leg is not really grounded. It's somewhat grounded, but it's also ready to spring. It's ready to spring or kick. I can come off of this and kick with it. So this has a bounce to it a little bit, and the front leg is more heavy. Right up until, go ahead and put your hands on your hips. You wouldn't do this if you're fighting someone or something, but this is to understand. So hands on hips, just get them out of the way. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot my pelvis so that I rotate my pelvis so it's going like 45 degrees that way, like to a corner of your wall. So if I were feet together, if I go 45 degrees here, if my legs are too close together like this, see how they're almost in alignment, I'm going to have no balance. If I go too far, well, then I'm almost like in a horse stance, and that's not the same kind of stance. So I have to find the in-between where it's about here. And then I'm going to rotate my hips and my pelvis, and I'm going to sink my weight. Put your hands down here. This right here, in general, if we were to pick up our hands in some type of position, we're going to start looking like a Kung Fu practitioner or a karate practitioner, depending on exactly what we do from here. This is a basic stance that has a lot of grounding and groundedness to it. We're going to take the back leg, we're going to slide it to that front foot. We're going to take that foot, we're not going to just lift it and put it back here. We're going to slide it. And then from here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to unwind. And when we do that, look at the hands. Get grounded with your hands. Like, allow the hands to help you ground right there. Hold yourself. Hold yourself. Then switch. Drag the foot up. Slide it back. Unwind. Let your breath out as you settle your weight. And then come here, inhale. Grab a sip of water if you desire. I'm gonna grab one here so I can keep talking to you. So who was that guy that became famous not for his Qigong, but became famous for his martial art? But then everybody in the martial art community said, good God, this guy has some of the most powerful Qi imaginable. And he's only 130 pounds. What was his name? Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee had an understanding of Qi that he brought to the martial arts. He also brought it on set for you all to enjoy. What he does with his sound making while he's striking, while he's hitting, while he's defending movements is very much based on Qi and getting grounded. So we took that same movement that we did. It's been a while since we did this, but some of you will remember it. We slide back and we make this unwinding. In general, we have, let your breath out. What happens though if you let all your breath out? Like, so let's say instead of going like, I go, like, you know, you see like Kung Fu movie, whatever, and the person go back to the other side now, you're here, and just do it with me. Let all your breath out. I want you to go, your power's gone. It's gone. You have no power left. Okay, feel it. It's like, whoa, what happened to my Qi? You let go of all of your Qi. So you had certain traditional sounds that were made where we might go like, ha. Try that. That's about half. You only lose, say, a little bit of your energy and you get grounded, but you don't give it all up. So if you switch your position and you go, ha, you still have some fight left in you. Come up, inhale, and then go back, ha. And when I say fight, it means you can move quickly. You can, exercise power. Inhale, go back, and then come up. Inhale, go back. Now, Bruce took that. First of all, he didn't like just being a puppet and doing what everybody else did, but he would wiggle his body. He wouldn't just, he would wiggle his body and go. And he was ready to explode from there because he understood what he was doing with his breath, his sound, and his Qi. So let's play with this a little bit. So from this position here, rather than just, let all your breath out. Let all your breath out. Just come here, slide back and go. Short. You want to make a little bit of like a cat sound, Bruce Lee would squeeze it out. Now, I don't know whether Bruce Lee, I know he watched fencing. His brother fenced, and so his martial art was designed after some fencing principles. I won't get into that. That's for another class. But the samurai or the other ones who use a sword and they use sound to disturb the opponent and to scare off and chase off their own fear. So let's just stand here for a moment like this. And imagine you're in a little bit of anxiety and that's fluttering and you can't get control over it a little bit, whatever. So from this position, just very gently, nothing too loud, nothing too crazy, but just play with this a little bit. You're going to attempt to mimic this sound a little bit. I'm going to pretend to be a samurai. I'm going to do it very quietly. They do it very loudly. Just very quiet. Okay? Let's go ahead and do it. And then go. I know this sounds so weird. You're humiliated at home. You're like, oh God, I hope somebody doesn't see me. But later on, just go Google Kendo, the art of Kendo, and watch it on YouTube. And watch the sounds that the samurai make to chase off their own fear and to instill fear in their opponent. It sounds very funny, right until somebody's stalking you with a sword and they're like, "Whoa!" Sounds like a chicken, right? But it gets very psychological and it gets in your head. So with that in mind, without too much of the crazy sounds, just a little on that. But whatever strong side, whatever you're, like I'm right-handed, so whatever dominant hand, put that foot and that hand forward. So if you're dominant left, go left. If you're dominant right, put the right forward. The right hand is on top. The left hand comes underneath. This is the one like you're holding like a sword. You're going to pick this up above your head. With a sword, we're not going to swing it and bring her back down. We're literally going to let this here. So one of the sounds we use here in the school is we go, yosh, yosh. And this calms, not, listen, yosh, not from the lungs, but from the gut. Yosh, 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 yosh. Quicker, yosh. Yes. 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 People who have anxiety and stress, they cannot elongate the sound because they don't have enough breath. So you have to practice slowly making the sound all the way through. Inhale here. Exhale. Oh. Now, you know what I said recently? We were talking about this movement where there's like a plate, okay? And I said, like, if you're moving, if you remember this principle, this is my point. It said if you're moving this, there's a way where you can just skip it and come over here and finish. Try doing that with a plate in your hand, though you would drop the plate. But I said, keep rotating in such a way that you feel like you're innervating all those little muscles and tendons and ligaments. And also you can try this later with a tennis ball in your hand or something. And you're trying to keep the tennis ball from falling. You can hold it a little, but don't like totally grip it. The idea is to give it some freedom of movement so that you're moving all the way through the motion. So in the same way that I taught you to move through this and move all the way through the motion, all the way through the motion, okay? All the way through the motion, all right? It's the same if you make a sound and you go, so for example, inhale here, exhale, and it's like W-H-O-A. Oh. A lot of people will go, oh, and then they run out. So inhale, slow, got to breathe it in the belly. And then you're trying to go through the whole motion. Whoa. Good job. Reach down, stretch. So you may notice in some of those exercises where we're making sound,
how you go to make part of the motion and your breath is like already over. You didn't get a chance to breathe more deeply, so on. That's how it always starts. So learning to breathe through the motion and doing your best, not just to, don't strain yourself or hurt yourself. Don't breathe or exhale too long or inhale too much. You got to find the right balance. But one thing you need to pay attention to is, in order to get a good breath to your belly, you have to breathe slow through your nose. So if you go real, you're all excited, you want to make the sound. And you know, Ken's like, I really want to make the sound. And then so he breathes in too quickly. Oh, he's got nothing left. It goes, the sound is gone. Because if you breathe in quickly, it goes to your lungs. So you can't be in too much of a rush to make the sound. This part has to be slow. Inhale slow through the nose. Hold it in your belly, and then from your belly, make the sound. Whoa. It's guttural. You open up the throat, you drop the tongue, and you begin to expel from the belly. Okay? All right, good job. So bring your hands right here for a moment. Bring hands together. Be very still for a moment. Finishing meditation. Find your center place, perfect timing. Inhale, exhale. Good job, everybody. You guys can grab a seat for a minute. I'm just going to chat for a minute. Eric, you can sit there if you want. Kevin, a little chair if you want. Say hello to the people at home. Yeah, that works. All right, so briefly, if you got the email already, you kind of know what's going on. Even if you got the email, you don't know the whole thing. So I'm going to spare you the details of the whole thing, but I'll just tell you a couple of things. So Thursday classes in the afternoon. We've been streaming these now for almost 2.5 years. As you guys know, I've moved from building to building, place to place, equipment to equipment. I have to travel quite a bit back and forth to try and make all this work. The hotel, which was always meant to be a temporary situation because they charge 5 times what I used to pay to teach a regular class. They also make me do more time than we even necessarily need, but I have to pay for it. So there's a lot of details there. Anyway, most recently, they want to increase their rates again, and I haven't been able to afford the class for a while, and this just kind of kicked it over the edge. So nothing else is going away. All the other stuff that we're doing is still the same. As some of you know, all the way back from Colorado, who I used to teach, I'm also known for showing up and teaching for 1 year, 2 years, classes, and then disappearing from classes for a while. Why? Because, well, I wrote a book, I created a certification program, I traveled the country, taught 15 workshops in a year. You know, having said that, this is just, you know, between us as friends, so to speak, but I don't need you to go tell anybody else's story. But, you know, we took quite a hit with the pandemic. I literally all of a sudden had no seminars, couldn't teach seminars, and the place that I've been practicing privately for 3 years, established private clientele, everything gone. The place that I taught Qigong, gone. Couldn't travel and teach seminars around the country, gone. So we tried to make our programs online, 5 CEU units, started doing weekend programs, everything. We really have not been able to get that to fly, so we've let those go. As some of you know, we had an organization come in and help put some wind under our sails. This past year, they offered you guys, we're going to do the 4th free program in November from the Love, Peace, Amen Foundation. where we're doing these 2-hour Saturdays. Those of you who are local can come in and train. It's free. Those of you who are online, you can also train for free. So we as a company, we're looking for what's next. We are signed up next year to do 3 live workshops, not 15, but 3 of them. We're putting 2 on in Wilmington and we're putting 1 on in Asheville. We have 3 programs as it stands right now that it looks like the Love, Peace, Amen Foundation is going to put on for you guys 3 2-hour workshop programs. So again, those of you who are local can come train for free. Those of you who are online can train for free. Those are recorded. You can go back and watch them. It's a beauteous gift to all of us. On top of that, there is another program that's rumored to be happening 1 year from now. So it takes time to plan this, but 1 year from now, it's looking like we're going to have a program that will be free to the public. That's literally going to be a full Saturday. So if you've never experienced like one of my seminars, this is going to be an opportunity to experience that. So we'll know for sure if that's on as the new year begins, but these are all things that are pending. So for right now, we're just reshuffling the deck. If you want to have access to the classes that you guys have been doing for the last 2.5 years, just keep paying the $45 a month and you have access to literally 2.5 years worth of classes online. So it's one of the most inexpensive offerings that we have with a lot of tremendously valuable content. Locally, Keith and Carrie are both around level 3s in the program, in our program, and have been teaching, and you see them showing up in the videos with me and so on. They will be trying to head up a class outside here locally in Wilmington. And anytime a door closes, as they say, a window opens. So stay tuned for whatever it is that I'm able to offer next year, what I'm able to give birth to. We're already talking about possibly, don't hold me to it because there's a lot of moving parts right now, but possibly shifting the format a little bit and maybe even having some more of these 2-hour programs on Saturdays, except there will be a cost for those if we add more of them. Having said that, I'm going to finish with this one last little idea. Am I a Qigong teacher of classes? I am, but if you've known me and if you've been around for a while, I'm a workshop presenter. That's what I do. I teach classes to engage some of you, to pull you in, and maybe you start teaching classes and then you go teach other people. But I'm a seminar presenter, I'm a workshop presenter. I like teaching the 2-hour programs, the 16-hour programs, because I have you for a big chunk of time and I can really get inside your head and inside your body and your emotions and everything in a really powerful way. That's not to dismiss the power of the once-a-week program. I just did it for you for 2.5 years. It's just that there's only so many of me to go around. And so that's why I'm just having to reshuffle the deck. I'll conclude with this. I've said for many years in teaching my programs, for over 20 years, I've had salt and pepper in my kitchen, and I literally have thousands of people that I believe I need to feed. In other words, I want to, I'm inspired to. And of course, I mean, you know, spiritually feed them, not necessarily give you some food, although come over to the house and I do that too. But anyway, spiritually feed you guys. And I constantly have to juggle this because I'm not sitting on endless resources. I've literally had salt and pepper in my kitchen for 20 years, and I've continued to do this. So thank you to you all who come and train with me in any of the programs that I do. I love you guys. That's why I do what I do. And yeah, just stay tuned. So let's not try and get too distraught by it. We got 2.5 years worth of recordings out of this and trainings out of it. We'll see what it gives birth to. And I'm not going away. I'm just reshuffling the deck. So thank you all so much. And I will see you next week. We're still training here until mid-November. So we still have classes. So keep practicing. Let's see what we can give birth to. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys.